Good morning, friends. My name is Susan Haney, and I'm coming to you today again from the Presbyterian Church of Lowell, although I'm in a place that you've never seen before. I've moved into our activity center because that's where the map is. And this morning I'm going to use the map because we're going to get a little geography lesson. We're going to talk today about the story of Jesus and the calming of the storm. Now, this story is in three Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. You probably have heard over and over again that Matthew, Mark, and Luke used a similar source for a lot of their stories, so they rhyme a lot. Now, each of those gospel writers also supplemented their gospel with other information. But this is one of the stories that they all chose to use. I'm going to be talking specifically about the wording and so forth in Luke's version of the story, and that's in Luke chapter 8, if you want to look at that later. Alrighty, so Jesus calms a storm. He is out on the lake with his disciples, and that's all that the Bible says in this point, is that he's out there with his disciples, and he has gone to sleep in the boat when a large storm blows up. And blows up would be the right term. So let's talk for just a minute about this part of the world and why storms are not uncommon on the Sea of Galilee. So here's my map. All right, can you see it? There we go. Let's see. This is going to be hard. Let's see if I can put that down. All right, here we go. Trying to get... Okay, here we go. This is the Sea of Galilee right here. This is the Mediterranean. So this is the Sea of Galilee, and it is fed out of the north by the Jordan River. This sea, if I remember correctly, is like 13 miles by 7 miles. So this is not Lake Norman. This is a small lake. The Jordan River leads out of the Sea of Galilee and into the Dead Sea. Now, we know that the Dead Sea is one of the lowest places on the earth. And I'm taxing my memory from yesterday. I believe that this is 1,400 feet below sea level. The surface of the lake is 1,400 feet below sea level. Human beings can tell a difference in elevation. And sometimes you can have tiredness and strange feelings when you are at an elevation that's different from what you're accustomed to. I had the privilege of going to the Dead Sea in 2014, and I did feel kind of strange down there because it was so low. All of this area is low. It is a valley. It's called the Jordan River Valley. And it is actually part of the Great Rift Valley. It starts here and it goes on down into Africa, ending, I believe, at Mount Kilimanjaro, which is a volcano. It's probably dormant. I don't know. Didn't check that out. But the Rift Valley is a fault, like the San Andreas Fault. And it, from the beginning of recorded history, has been a focal point for earthquakes. All right. The surface of the Sea of Galilee is about 700 feet below sea level. The city of Charlotte is about 700 feet above sea level. And sea level, would be like Myrtle Beach on the shore. And this sea, it's like it's in a bowl. East side here is the... Okay. All right, now we're reconnecting again. Sorry about that. All right, the Golan Heights are to the east here. And when I looked to see the elevation of Golan Heights, it gave me a place about right here and said that it was 9,000 feet above sea level. I said that when I was down at the Dead Sea, I felt weird. Well, Moab, Utah is about 8,000 square feet, if I remember correctly. And I felt weird there, too, because the elevation, whether it's high or low, can affect the way that humans feel. So the difference in elevation from this point up here in the Golan Heights to the surface of the Sea of Galilee is about 10,000 feet. That's a lot. That's a lot. The other side of the Sea of Galilee, here about Capernaum, is the Mount of Beatitudes, and that is where Jesus is traditionally supposed to have given the Sermon on the Mount. And that point there is about 1,800 feet above the surface of the Sea of Galilee. So the point is that this is in a bowl. The sea is in a bowl, and regularly the winds will come down out of those heights and sweep across the lake, creating a storm. You know that the wind whips up the waves. So this is not an unusual thing. This happens a lot. So the disciples are out with Jesus on the lake when this storm breaks out, when this storm blows up, and it is blowing the water over the sides of the boat. I am a landlubber, and that would kind of freak me out. I would be really worried about the boat sinking in that storm. So I alluded earlier to the fact that this was the disciples that were on the boat, and that is not a very precise description. We don't know what disciples. It might have been the 12. It might have been 12 and a few. It could have been an entirely different group of followers of Jesus that were on this boat. And that makes me think of this in two different ways. First of all, if it was the 12, remember that 4 of those dudes were fishermen and they knew this lake. And if those 4 men were scared in this storm, then it must be one whale of a storm. And I, as the landlubber, would absolutely be terrified if these men were uncomfortable in that weather. The other thing is, if it's all just landlubbers like me, then of course we're going to be afraid. Because we don't know what's going on. This is new to us, and it is a terrifying situation to be in. And I would be afraid. What about you? Alrighty, so we don't know who it is, but we do know that they are all afraid. And they go to wake Jesus, who, remember, he was asleep in the boat, sleeping through all this fun stuff. And when they go to him in the book of Luke, they call him Master. Master, are you not afraid? We're about to die here. Master. So one of the writers that I was reading yesterday, and I think it was Fred Craddock, who said that this is pretty early in Jesus' ministry, and maybe these disciples haven't quite figured out who they've got in the boat with them, and that's why they call him Master, because they make a point that rather than calling him Lord, they call him Master, and he was the Lord. Interesting thought. Yeah, maybe they didn't know who they had in the boat with him, and that is why they were afraid. But Jesus is very critical of them because their fear indicated their lack of faith. Now, fear is the opposite of faith, not doubt. So don't worry about your doubts. But Jesus was very critical of their fear, and I think that that is troublesome. Because I think, like I said, I'm a landlubber. If I'm in that situation, I'm going to be afraid. And I don't like that Jesus would have been upset with me for being afraid, because it seems like a reasonable fear. But I guess with Jesus there, it's not a reasonable fear. I don't think I'm going to be able to justify that or reconcile that with my thinking. And if you can, then I'd love to hear what you have to say. And I mean that most sincerely, because I'd like to figure it out. So Jesus speaks to this storm, and it abates. It is perfectly calm after he speaks. There are those, as I said, that I was reading yesterday, who indicate that the way that he rebuked, and that they used the word rebuked the storm, indicated that it was an exorcism. And in the ancient world, they did believe that demons lived in bodies of water, and that they would cause storms to kill sailors. So this played into their fear as well as into the supposed exorcism of these entities, if you will. And the other interesting thing that happens is that after the storm abates, after Jesus calms the storm, it says that the disciples were afraid. So they were afraid of the storm to begin with, and now they're afraid of this man who is in their midst, whom they are trying to figure out. Who is he, and what is this all about? I think that that is the task that all of us have to do. We all have to decide, who is Jesus? Who is this man who lived here, and who is he? I hope you've enjoyed this. This is a kind of a different story. We'll be looking at some more stories of Jesus from the New Testament over the next few weeks. And I hope that you will join me on Thursday mornings for these. We'll also be doing a live broadcast on Wednesdays talking about contemplative prayer. If you have any interest in that, I would appreciate your watching those as well. I am uploading all of the Facebook Live to my YouTube page, which is Susan Haney 890. You can get those at any time that you want, and I'm going to be going backwards in time and getting some of my older teachings onto that YouTube channel. Let's see. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me this morning to learn a little bit more about the Holy Land and about the life and ministry of Jesus Christ. And have a great weekend. I hope to see you in church somewhere this week. Have a great day next week. Bye.